Need some coins for that God Squad you've always wanted? Check out redzonecoins.com for cheap and fast coins. You can use code ZERK for 10% off at checkout. Get 1,000,000 coins for $45.
The whole thing wobbin', wobbin', wobbin'. When I come around, got the whole thing wobbin'.
What's going on, guys? It's Zirksee coming at you today with another YouTube video, and today I'm going to be going over my final thoughts and feedback on the Madden 21 beta. So obviously, of course, in the background, this is Madden 20 gameplay, not Madden 21, as I've told you guys the last couple of videos that I've done, some feedback for the 21 beta. We obviously are not allowed to record that, fortunately. So this is Madden 20 gameplay in the background, and I also want to mention, guys, if you did play the beta as of right now is, of course, done for. It closed at midnight. If you played the beta, make sure that you guys go ahead and leave your feedback on the forums. It is very important that we leave some feedback on the forums so that way they know exactly what we want to see, and I also will be leaving some feedback on the forums later today. But before we go any farther, I do want to give a shout out to Bobber Bear for being a part of the Nota Gang. If you guys want a chance to be shouted out in the next video, drop a like on the vid, make sure you guys are subbed to the channel, turn the notification bell on, and comment down below Nota Gang. I also want to mention that I'll probably have one more video for you guys later today, and make sure you guys have that notification bell turned on. And I want to say I appreciate everyone who still watches the videos this late into the year. I know obviously we still have almost 2 months basically until Madden 21 comes out, so yeah, it's going to be a little tough. But you guys already know you can expect to see at least one video every single day from me. So with that being said, let's get into my list of what exactly I think about the Madden 21 beta. And I will say my thoughts have really changed from my initial impressions. Now, I don't know exactly how many games I played in the beta. I honestly can't really tell you guys. I definitely played at least maybe 25 to 40 games. I honestly lost count. Probably more around 30 or so, I'd say I played with the beta. At least a couple hours every single day. Played against a couple of YouTubers, labbed out some things. So overall, the beta, I think, was a pretty fun experience. There is definitely some things that need to be changed, though. One big thing that I want to mention, I guess we'll get into the key points here. One big thing and a big issue, and I was talking about this in yesterday's video, was a lot of passes were actually smacking off of receivers' heads. Don't like that. I think that'll probably be patched, so I don't really think that's a big issue. I think anything like gameplay glitches type stuff, I think obviously they're going to take a look into, but some big things that I think that just need to be adjusted in the game. First up, obviously zone coverages. We already know that the zone was pretty bad in the beta. Zone was pretty bad in the Madden 20 beta as well, so I think maybe they did that on purpose actually, just to make it more of a offensive game for the beta. I would not be surprised at all if they did that. But I think they definitely need a big tuning, especially deep. Deep zones just did not work out at all. If you had the Chiefs, you could just chuck up streaks all day long to Tyreek Hill and catch bombs, and there was nothing you could do. Now, in terms of the pass rush, I will say I think the pass rush was actually pretty good. It wasn't overpowered at all. It definitely was not Madden 20 pass rush, not even close. Given, though, as I've said multiple times, we didn't really face teams that had crazy edge rushers. We did face, you know, the best edge rusher, I think, was probably the Buccaneers with Shaquille Barrett. He was an edge rusher with an X-Factor ability, so he really didn't even do anything like that. Maybe it'll be a little bit different Ultimate Team, depending on who you have on the edge. Multiple people with pass rush abilities. We'll kind of have to see and feel that out and see how that's going to play, but I think that players without X-Factor abilities really didn't do too much in the pass rush game. I felt like you had a decent amount of time in the pocket. Even blitzing. Blitzing didn't really seem to work out that well, honestly. I feel like blitzers came in very, very slow. Obviously, you know, this is head-to-head. This is an Ultimate Team. Not everyone has 90-plus speed. So maybe just players are kind of slow right now, and that's just how it is in the beta. But I think that pass rush is good where it's at. I don't think that pass rush should really be adjusted. One thing that definitely needs to be adjusted at least a little bit, and I've seen some very, very mixed opinions on this, is the usering. I think that usering was absolutely awful in the beta. That was just absolutely pathetic. You literally could not do anything. And I've seen a lot of people say that, you know, they like how the user was because they don't like people that can take their user linebacker and they can cover a slant, and then they can cover an in route, and then they can cover a post route all in the same exact play. Which, to be honest, in Madden 20, you really can't even do that unless you have Lurker and a very, very fast linebacker, because at the beginning of Madden 20, usering was not really all that great because it's a big step down from where it was in Madden 19. But in 21, it is bad. Like, you move super slow, and it's not even the fact that, oh, I can't cover multiple routes anymore. It's that you literally can't cover one route usering. Like, you literally cannot even follow a receiver. You cannot try to get someone baited into throwing a post. You can't do anything like that. You can't even cover a slant, because if you try to run with the receiver, you just can't. You're too slow, you're too clunky. Like, you just absolutely cannot do anything at all. I will say there actually was some pretty good jumping animations. I kind of started to do it a little bit more towards the end of the beta. I would actually sit near the line of scrimmage, and if you just sit almost directly above the defensive line there, and there was a slant going over above you, it seems like every time if they threw it perfectly to where you're at, you could jump and intercept it. So at least there are some solid jumping animations, and also some in routes I intercepted, probably like 8 or 9 yard routes, and I was by the line of scrimmage. So it seems like jumping for users is actually pretty solid. So you kind of have to get them to bait into throwing exactly where you're at, because you can't move around fast enough. So absolutely, users have to be buffed, because that was terrible. And we cannot play a game where you're basically forced to use your D lineman and pass rush, even though that's kind of like one of their new mechanics. Using a linebacker is fun. It's kind of a skill gap. Not everyone can use around a linebacker and get an interception. Some people use the defensive line, which EA is trying to kind of close that skill gap, I feel like, with the new pass rush mechanics, quote unquote new pass rush mechanics, making it better to use your pass rush. So hopefully usering does get a little bit of a buff, because that was just absolutely terrible. You literally cannot do anything usering. And also when it comes to just trying to stop the run with the user, you're just too slow. Like, that cannot happen. That has to get buffed. Now, one thing about the beta that I noticed as well is, of course, we didn't really have a good running back to use, so we really never got to test out, like, elite juke moves, use the skill stick and everything. However, Lamar Jackson, obviously, is a really good player in the beta. He had 96 speed. Tyreek Hill also was up there. I believe Tyreek has got jukebox. I think it's grab and go and jukebox, I want to say. So him, of course, Lamar Jackson, Todd Gurley was in the beta, Mark Ingram was in the beta, but we didn't really get to use like Christian McCaffrey or Saquon or Zeke, any of like the super high overall running backs that are going to be in the game, probably 90 plus, of course. Yeah, we didn't get to use them, so that kind of sucked for the beta. We didn't really get to use the skill stick at its max level, basically. We just really didn't get to test it out all that much. However, I will say a couple things. First up, I really like the skill stick. I think it's really fun to chain moves like a dead leg into a spin or a dead leg into a juke. It was really fun. Even some of the double jukes, all that good stuff. I mean, it was really fun. So I think it's a great concept. I think it's going to be really fun. However, I actually think that juking needs to be tuned a little bit, because there's no reason. Okay, Lamar Jackson, Tyreek Hill, those guys, yes, right? They should get a lot of separation on their jukes. But players like Mike Evans, right? Mike Evans is not that good at juking. So Mike Evans should not be able to juke and get 6 yards of separation off his juke. Like, it was so frustrating for someone to hit Mike Evans, him to come down with a contested catch or whatever, and then come down, juke, and then of course you're like 5 or 6 yards away from the safety. Like, that's one thing this year with the jukes that I noticed, is when you juke, you really get a lot of separation. Like, you literally juke probably 4 to 5 yards to the left or right, depending on what way you juke. So that makes it very hard to tackle people, and bigger players like Mike Evans or people in general that shouldn't be able to juke like that should not be able to juke like that. So I think that there needs to be maybe a little bit different of a threshold for jukes, for maybe the yardage of separation you get. I feel like they need to be tuned a little bit. Now, another big thing that I think a lot of people noticed from the beta as well, and I'm not sure if this is a glitch or if this is just how they intended for it to be. That's why I'm going to mention it here, because I don't know if it is a glitch or not, if they're going to patch it. But when you actually try to switch onto a player, when you hit the B button to switch onto the player who is nearest the ball carrier, it really didn't work out at all. Like, you would try to switch on to whoever, the cornerback, the safety, whatever, but it would be delayed. Like, you'd hit B, it would take a little bit, and then it would switch on, and then sometimes if you would switch on to that player, by then it's too late. You try to tackle or whatever, and it just wouldn't work out. You completely miss. Sometimes even you would try to switch onto a player, and they would just not really react. Like, they'd stop moving or do something very weird. So there was definitely a huge issue when it comes to switching players. Now, as for some of the good stuff, obviously we have a lot better run defense, and I really like that. I will say, of course, the main thing that I found, and again, it just kind of stayed true throughout the entire beta, is when someone runs like a read option, because a lot of people use the Ravens, of course, for Lamar Jackson. Someone runs a read option, they bounce it to the outside with the quarterback. I did notice that the defensive line and the outside linebackers, in general the linebackers, they tend to run at like half speed for some reason when the quarterback scrambles outside on a read option, so I don't really like that at all. Interior run defense was really good though. Interior run defense was really good. A lot of defensive line block sheds. I really like that. It seems like this game is definitely looking like, anyways, from the beta, that it is going to be a pass-heavy game. The quarterback release times were really good. I think I like the quarterback release times a lot. I'm sure a lot of you guys will as well. Definitely helps with the fact that blitzing doesn't really seem to be as good, anyways, from the beta. So if someone blitzes you and you have the flats open and you have a drag route open, whatever, then you have a fast enough release time to just quickly fire it out there, which is really good. Now, I will say, of course, I saw a lot of mixed opinions about the throw out of sack animation, the pressure animation as well. Whenever you got pressured and you have a little bit faster throwing time, I think I like it. I think sometimes it can cause a bit of an issue. Some people may get upset because obviously they may just be used to taking a sack, whatever. But instead of taking a sack now, if they try to time a slant or whatever, try to time a drag or any route in general, if you try to time it while you're getting sacked, well, in years past you might get sacked. This year, obviously, you might have a really bad pass and it could get intercepted. Now, another thing that I noticed from the beta is QB fumbles. There's not really a lot of fumbles in general in this game, but there's definitely not enough quarterback fumbles. I mean, I've been laying hits on Lamar Jackson, on Patrick Mahomes, and getting no fumbles at all. Lamar Jackson especially, and a lot of people, I know that I mentioned this, I think maybe like yesterday's video or 2 days ago, and a lot of people were saying, oh, it's just his ability. Well, his ability is an X factor, and I'm not talking about when his X factor ability is activated, because that rarely got activated in the games. I know a lot of people were kind of confused about it. You know, it's only 8 rushes of 1+ yard. Well, trust me, that really didn't get activated a lot, because that's still 8 times you have to run with your quarterback in a game, and that's not that easy to just spam read options or spam QB blast, whatever. People are gonna run commit. But just in general, there just wasn't enough quarterback fumbles, and I also really don't like the double tap X to slide. Of course, now it is left trigger. If you just hold left trigger anywheres, you are going to go ahead and celebrate. So I think at the beginning of the beta, I definitely messed up a couple times, like 2 or 3 times. I was just holding left trigger and X trying to slide down, and my guy would celebrate, and then I would fumble off that, of course. So that sucked. But double tapping X is definitely not the move. It doesn't even seem really to work that. Sometimes it feels like you need to hit it like 3 or 4 times just to get it to work. Like you're literally spamming it to try and slide down. And then I would try to slide down sometimes, but mid-slide, I would get into a tackle animation. So yeah, it's definitely not the move. One thing I will say about the beta is I feel like with the way that the open field movement is and the open field tackling as well, it really adds to the excitement of things when you get an interception or a fumble recovery, because it is really hard to tackle in the open field, trying to use around someone, trying to do that with the addition of the skill stick and everything, with how good jukes are and with how bad it is and how hard it is to actually tackle someone in the open field, like one-on-one. If you have a cornerback and you get a fumble recovery or you get an interception, I think that every single fumble or every single pick had like a 20, 30, 40 yard return, because it's just so hard to tackle someone in open field like that. So that actually, I think, is pretty fun. I think it definitely adds to the excitement. And I also feel like screen passes were really good. Again, kind of because of the open field stuff. I feel like this year, like the meta could be a lot of screens, maybe drags, really anything to get the ball into your receiver's hands. If they don't touch juking at all, I feel like the move is probably going to be to do screens, to do drags, and just try to get people in open field, because open field tackling was pretty dang hard. But with that being said, guys, I hope you did enjoy the video, and if you did, make sure you drop a like on the video, and of course hit that sub button down below. I wanted to go over my feedback on things. Also, real quick, actually, the run game. I don't feel like running was too overpowered. We didn't really get to use a super good running back. Lamar Jackson was like the best runner that we actually got to use in the entire beta. But the running game for me didn't really seem too glitchy. I definitely think this is going to be more of a passing year, which I have to say I'm pretty excited for, but we can't really tell from the beta because, as I said, we never got to really use an elite running back. So I think EA definitely messed up there, not letting us get to use someone that could be super, super glitchy. But I think it's going to be a passing year, and I think that overall, this game can be really good. They just need to make a couple of changes, especially to the defense. But with that being said, guys, hope you did enjoy the video. I'll see you guys next time.